in my case, my family was somewhat unusual. I don't know if my father's family ever had a religious affiliation. I've never been able to determine one. But by the time it got down to me, my father was a agnostic, majored in international business, and was the quintessential capitalist. Lectured on it in colleges. And if he had a religion, I would say it was capitalism. My mother's family had been Christian Scientists, although when her mother had broken her arm and gone to see a doctor, she felt like she couldn't return to this church. And so my mother didn't really grow up in the church. So that left them raising two kids with no particular religious affiliation. But they had in my opinion, great foresight, and I consider it a blessing, to expose us to anything in which we expressed an interest. When I was interested in Shinto, they got me a book on Shinto. When I was curious about the neighbor's church, I attended one of their Sunday school classes. I was interested in Buddhism. We went to a temple up in Chinatown. So anything I had an interest in, they would expose me to. Early on, when I did read what were available as Bible stories for children, I was also reading books on mythology. The first book I ever read on my own was a children's book of Egyptian myths. And really quickly, I was wondering, why are these stories and these are myths? Because they seemed like they were very similar. And the stories of the Greeks and Romans and the Celts were the ones that were really speaking to me. But I didn't have anywhere to go with that as a child. Then, when I was 12 years old, I made contact with other kids, some of whom were working with a witch in Millbrae, who were getting some very, very basic teachings about the craft, or about Wicca. And I worked with them for a little while, learning very, very little. And that didn't really go anywhere at the time, although it would come back to haunt me later. When I was 15, my best friend in high school, whose father was an archaeologist, that archaeologist went on sabbatical to take several months off and travel around Europe and the Mediterranean visiting colleagues. And he took his family with him, and they offered to take me with them as well. And my parents agreed, and so I spent 4 months traveling around the Mediterranean. And our guides were the Blue Guide in one hand and Pausanias in the other, as we traveled through Greece. And so everywhere we went, it was, well, right here is where Hercules slew the Nemean lion. Right here is where Paris, kidnapped Helen. And so as we were reading the myths, we were living the places where all these things had happened. And so for me, this was very much like, I would imagine, a trip to the Holy Land would be for a Christian or Jew to walk in the steps, where significant historical events had happened. So this made the myths really come alive for me in a way that, is hard to understand. Except by that analogy, I suppose. I went to college at UC Berkeley, majoring in physical anthropology, but I switched to religious studies. And through that community, I met the Berkeley pagan community. And I arranged a Halloween event where I connected pagans that I'd met through Shambhala booksellers. I don't know how many of you remember Shambhala booksellers. I worked there for 13 years. Pagans I met through the store with the religious studies majors, and we had a little get-together. But I followed up with them and said, well, is there something I could attend, something I could come to? And they invited me to one of the Sabbats, one of the seasonal festivals, which was actually the one held for the fall equinox in September, which is coming up for us now, at Baker Beach in San Francisco. And it was a reenactment of the descent myth of Persephone, being taken to the underworld and Demeter going in search of her. And at one point, as the sun's setting and Persephone's been abducted by the person representing Hades, and Demeter is come and in her grief is searching for her lost daughter, and we all go with her searching for this figure. And we're going through the woods and along the beach and even down into the water, and singing a song that I learned that night, which was a simple chant. And you can probably help me with it, that we all come from the goddess, which was, we all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. And that repeats, which we were singing as we did this walk. So several months later, I was actually majoring in magical religions. It was religious studies with an emphasis in magic and occult religions. And I was studying ritual magic. I was practicing ritual magic, but it didn't have a particularly religious bent to it. And I was working with a companion, someone named Sean Carlson, who went on to write the junior scientist column for Scientific American. But he was doing graduate work in LA. And we had arranged that on particular nights, we would do a magical working at the same time, at midnight. And one of us would draw a tarot card and try to send the image of the tarot card to the other person. And on this one particular night, a few months after this event, after this Sabbath, we were going to do one of these transmissions. And so I had set up the magical space in my room, drawn the card, and sort of looked at my watch and went, oh, well, I've got about half an hour to kill. I'm early. And so, I figure I'll meditate. And so I just sort of lay down in my room and started singing that song to myself in my head, just sort of in a meditative way, not thinking much about it. And I started hearing other voices singing the song. And as I noticed that, the darkness behind my eyelids parted like a curtain, and I was looking out at a country scene as real as this room. And there were it was a beautiful sunny day. I was standing on a hillside. There were trees in front of me. There was a path sort of winding around. There were bushes behind me. And the voices were coming from my left. And I looked off to my left, and there was a group coming down the path. And there was this tall, beautiful woman, long dark hair, dressed in white. And she was leading a group of children. And they were all in white robes, and the robes were tied with cords. And they were walking down the path and coming towards me. And I'm thinking, boy, okay, I guess this must be the goddess. And I'm going, now what do I do? And I'm trying to think of something, significant to do, and I can't think of anything. So I'm feeling really stupid, and they're getting closer. And so finally, just as they're getting right up to me, I step forward, and desperate for something, I say, lady, would you watch over me in my working tonight? And she turns and looks at me like, that's pretty silly, and says, of course, are you not already one of my children? And she gestures back behind her, and there in the group is me at the age of 12, back when I was the age I was working with that group. And so I sort of went, and I kind of was taken aback, and as I turned back, she'd started walking on, and the group had started walking on, and I thought, okay, well, I guess that's it. Should I follow in behind them? No, I don't think so. I'll just step back. And when I stepped back, the darkness parted, or darkness, sort of closed back in again. And I opened my eyes, and I was back in my ritual space. And I met with my friend. But I went back to the witches that I'd worked with and said, I think I'm supposed to study this more. But once again, it wasn't so much stepping into something new as being told it was a path I was already on. Because I'd not thought much of this, okay, 12-year-olds, bunch of kids, that didn't mean much. Apparently it did.